welcome everybody to this episode of the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Jeanette Anderson, and today I have the fabulous Dee Boswell-buck with me, all the way from Toronto, another place I lived for quite a while, 5 years. We were just kind of comparing notes on various places that we've lived. So welcome, Dee. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeanette. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I love your white mic. That's very pretty and shiny and bright.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk about not putting all your eggs in one basket, the benefits of diversifying your online presence. And Dee has been doing marketing for quite a long time. So I'm going to read you her official intro, then we'll get the unofficial scoop, and then we're going to dive right in to this topic because it's a big one, and it's one that a lot of people struggle with, is where should I be, how much should I be there, how should I be there, all of those topics. So we're going to dive right in. Dee Boswell-buck is a certified social media strategist of Boswell-buck Creative Consulting. Her fractional digital marketing agency helps six-figure women-led business owners transform their online marketing so they can book more leads and earn more revenue. It's Dee's unwavering belief that the online platforms of female-led companies should amplify their voices. Dee's team provides full-service online marketing that allows her clients to focus on their zone of genius and build a business they love. Awesome. Love that. And really love the stand for amplifying women's voices. That's great. So tell us a little bit about you that we wouldn't guess from reading your bio or your website or going to any of your social media. What's something people would never guess when they look at you?
Yeah, so something that people would never guess is, well, I love art. And I used to hand paint silk scarves in the days before there was ever Facebook. And I used to hand paint silk scarves, and I would go to art shows, and then I started to sell online as well. So I made my own website. I learned by getting books from the library. And then my scarves ended up in over 150 stores across North America. So I don't have that business anymore, but it was something that I really enjoyed doing.
Awesome. That's very, very cool. Did you use silk screening or did you actually hand paint?
No, I used white silk blanks. So I bought them in different sizes for different types of scarves. And then I hand painted each scarf with a paintbrush and silk dyes. And it would take, the whole process would take about 5 to 7 hours, painting, letting it dry, steaming it over my oven in a pasta steamer, and then setting the dyes and then shipping it. But just that process alone in my apartment downtown Toronto took about 5 to 7 hours.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool. And that you made a business out of it is very cool.
Yeah.
Love that. So tell us why you went into marketing, and what's your why in general? Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, so I fell into marketing by accident, but you read out about amplifying the voice of female entrepreneurs. It is a fact that when it comes to our business, women show up differently than men. We're just as proud of our business, but we have a difficult time promoting ourselves. And we stay a little bit quiet. When I think about there was something I was reading the other day where if we were going to apply for a job, and if a guy was going to take a look at the job description and he was missing maybe 8 of the things that 8 of the skills, he would go right for it. Whereas a woman, typically if it's like 1 or 2, it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not qualified. So I think it's just so important that, we're building a business that we love. And my team and I, what we do is we really help our clients to amplify their voice. And most importantly, it's not just about getting your content out there or getting your words out there on a website, but making sure that everything is lined up with what it is that you do as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I just literally posted today in my Facebook group a big congratulation video because seven, count them, 7 women, which I think is I know is an all-time record, actually took me up on What You Got Wednesday, because on Wednesday in our Facebook community, I encourage women to promote themselves. Never understood women's business groups that say, whatever you do, don't promote. It's like, we want to help you grow your business, but for God's sakes, don't sell. So on Wednesdays, I encourage people to promote, and women will not do it. Makes me absolutely cranky and crazy. It's like, I'm begging you to promote yourself and your services and your products. And if they do, they seldom put a call to action, and they seldom actually do say what's in it for people. It just, yes, it makes me a little cranky. So anyways, I totally get what you mean about women promote differently, aka a lot of times not very effectively, and not very loudly, and not very often. So what do you do to support them in terms of figuring out which platform or which way they should be seen in the marketplace? Because that's one of the big challenges for a lot of people, is the overwhelm of so many options. So how do you help people figure that out, Dee?
Yes, there's definitely many options. And when it comes to platforms, do not just include social media. There's platforms as well, such as your website, it could be email marketing. One of the things that I say to everyone in my social media feeds is that you do not have to be everywhere. So you definitely want to be where your dream clients are. I've been saying dream clients lately as opposed to ideal clients, because there are people who fit that client avatar, but then there are those clients that are the dream to work with. So when it comes to where it is that you are going to be showing up online, if you aren't doing it consistently already, or if you are just testing the water, I always advise everyone that start off with 2. You could even start off with 1, but I guarantee that your audience isn't just on one social media platform. Try 2. There's different ways that you can diversify. And then once you almost perfect it, and I want to say almost perfected, I don't believe in the word perfection. It's really great, but it can kind of block us from getting ahead. Not to mention the fact that there's all the platforms, they are always going through so many changes. So by the time you think you've perfected something, then it's like, oh my goodness, this new thing is coming. So once you have everything running like a well-oiled machine on those 2 platforms, then you can do something like introduce something else.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned and brought in email and podcasts and other things that we can do. What's a good way for people to figure out not only where their audience is, because that is one of the criteria, but which one is the best fit for their style? Because they have different styles, right? So how would you recommend they figure out the right style for them? Style of communication and approach.
So the right style of communication. I think it can start off as just asking some of the clients that you have worked with. Perhaps your clients, yes, just asking your clients, and you might be quite surprised that some of your clients, they don't really engage on social media. And if this is how you're growing your business, and these are the type of individuals who always reach out to you, then the best thing that you can do is ask. You might be surprised and find that while they don't engage on social media often, they prefer to get a newsletter. So if that is the case, then that is something that you might want to take a look at for your business. Another thing that you can do is going to the Google. So you go to Google and you just input some information, some keywords about who your ideal client is, and also how does that line up with social media. And you could do some research on that as well, and find out that, this certain age bracket, they like this type of social media platform. This type of age bracket, or people who are interested in this type of thing, they like this particular social media. And of course, if you are comfortable on social media, you want to, like, hopefully that will line up with how comfortable you are being on social media. So you want to be on a platform that you are comfortable being on it. And if you are not comfortable being on it, then you might want to look at hiring.
Right. And so it sounds like you're saying, you know, if you prefer writing, maybe a newsletter or a blog as a way to reach out. If you like being visual, then doing one of the video channels like YouTube or on some podcasts, or doing Facebook Lives, that kind of thing. If
Right.
you're not comfortable with that, then you can also just post content and engage that way and connect with people. I would also say don't have preconceived notions about some of the platforms, because I have resisted TikTok tremendously, but I have a young team and they keep insisting that I need to be on TikTok. So finally I relented and gave them some short content, and they put it up. Huge number of engagements, way more than I get on
Awesome.
any other platform, way more. Now, whether or not those engagements translate into anything is another thing altogether. Just because someone watched a few minutes or a minute of it doesn't mean that will turn into business. But I was very surprised, because I didn't expect that. I assumed it was all, you know, stupid people doing stupid things. Frankly, I thought it was mostly shock stuff, etc., not education, not business oriented. So I really didn't realize that TikTok is more than just that, more than just people throwing spaghetti on their kids or something, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, so how do they find out more about which demographic is on which platform? Like, because there's every demographic on every platform, but some are more specific, you know, so like, and I have all sorts of preconceived notions that may or may not be true, right? Like, I think Facebook is mostly for older women, but I don't know if that's still true. It used to be, but I don't know if it is now. I thought TikTok was not for business, but apparently it is, you know. So what would you say is the kind of the general zeitgeist of each platform, or the general audience on the platforms?
So are you asking me, like, what's the general audience on the platforms, or
Yeah,
how is it that you go about finding that?
both would be great.
Okay. Okay. So Facebook. Yes. Well, you know, I don't want to say more mature individuals are on Facebook, and I would say that those individuals, you know, you're looking at anywhere from, oh, that's a tricky question, because what is young versus old? So there's definitely individuals on Facebook that are like 30 years of age and up. So a lot of my clients, for instance, they are women business owners, and they are from the age of 40 to late 50s. So they are definitely, I find them I find them on Facebook. Then there is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a favorite platform of mine. And that's the platform for business professionals. When I say business professionals, a lot of people think, oh, it's that stuffy business person in the suit. But no, it's not just that. It's not people looking for a job, or people who might be judging you to see whether or not that they're hiring. So on LinkedIn, you have individuals who are as young as, like, I would say in their early 30s going up. So that is an opportunity there. And I want to say that, you know, sometimes we want to look past the age, and it's like, what are what it is that you do in the industry that you're in. You can reach another type of individual who is your dream client on a different platform. Instagram, I would say that it could be as young as, like, in the teens, going up to late 50s. And then TikTok, yes, it is a younger platform, but there are definitely more mature people on that. So I feel like I didn't quite answer that. I think you have to break it down more so as not just the age of your ideal client, but as well as, like, who is it that you're trying to reach? I have a friend, and she is a brand photographer. So for brand photography, when she's reaching out to the entrepreneur, she is sharing content on LinkedIn. She is also sharing content on Instagram and on Facebook. And then at a certain time of the year, she does family photos. So when she's doing the family photos and she's promoting that, she is definitely sharing that on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok. So you want to take a look more so as to what is it that your target audience is doing, and then you can dig deep there.
I love that. And let's talk a little bit about for people who, because I think most people are on most platforms or in some way, shape, or form, or are perhaps on there tokenly, like I am on some, like, we post up on Instagram, but I am not an Instagram user, right? It just, if my team wasn't posting there, nothing would be there. But so my primary market, let's use this as an example, is maturepreneurs. So women who are 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, and who would rather inspire than retire. What would be a good approach? So let's say that's a market or demographic that I'm looking for. What's a good approach to finding them on the various platforms? So how would I go about that, or whatever their group or their community is that they're looking for? What's a good approach for finding those people?
So I think that I'm going to break down your sentence a little bit. You talked about how do we find those individuals. So let's say you've already discovered what platform that they're on. I am a believer that we want our clients to, so not so much that the people need to find them, but we want to magically land in the feed of that target audience. And one of the things that we do is that when we are preparing content, so our clients, they want to stay in their zone of genius, and we write social media content for them in their brand voice. And the way that we write this content is that we use keywords. We use hashtags based on whatever platform that they're on. But the main thing is we write like educational content, and in the words that our ideal clients would be searching for. So what are those things that your target audience is looking for when they are on Google? What are those questions that they're asking when they go to Google? Well, then when we're writing content for our clients, then what we do is we are answering those questions. We're using those keywords, and the social media platforms, they are really great search engines. For instance, Instagram, a lot of people, they focus on the hashtag. But if you take a look at that search bar on Instagram, it now asks you to search for keywords. So you could put in some keywords for a specific area if it's location specific, and then you could find the accounts. And the key is that you want to be using these keywords so that the search bar will pull you up. On LinkedIn, as an example, whenever I am looking for a specific audience, then what I do is I put in some keywords, and then when I want to get location specific, then LinkedIn would pull up the accounts, and then I just have to go through the accounts, then do some more digging. So you really want to make sure that you are sharing the things that your audience is asking questions about, so you could land magically in their feed.
Thank you. I love that. One of the things that you mentioned is that people have to see you 12 times before they make a decision to work with you. Used to be 7 or 8, but because our attention is so pulled so often by so much noise nowadays, it's even more. And as we talked about, a lot of women in particular, and men, tend to think that they don't want to bother people. I don't want to be a nuisance. I don't want to plague them. I don't want to, spam them, et cetera, et cetera. So they would never think of following up with someone 12 times. So can you speak to that, and specifically to the resistance about that and how to get over it?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I've been doing for myself is that I know I am a small business. I know that my clients have a small business, but my mindset is think big business. And when we think about those larger businesses, I'm thinking about, like, the other day I went and I bought a winter coat for my daughter. Now from a particular store, which I also shop at. Now I got onto their email list so I can get like 10% off one day. And then now I follow through and I get these points and things like that. Let me tell you, this particular company, now I don't send as many emails out, but this particular company, they send me maybe 3 newsletters per week. I also see commercials. If they are opening up a new location, there will be a gigantic sign on the street. So then when you're driving by, you see this large sign. When you go to the store, they're giving out coupons and things like that. And it's not often, like rarely do we ever say, oh my gosh, this company is driving me bonkers. So I think that what we have to do is have that mindset that we, the world, to share what it is that you do. And that could be through email marketing, that could be through social media marketing, that could be from about like updating your Google business, because again, you go to Google, if somebody is searching for what it is that you do, well, whoever has their Google business updated in the best way, their content is going to show up as well. And then ads too. So there's nothing wrong. And if somebody gets off of your email list, that's okay. They just weren't the right person for you, but you just want to stay top of mind. And that's all it is.
Yeah. And it's easy for them to say no. It's not our job to say no for them. It's our job to offer what we have when we, if we believe it can be of value and of service. To not offer it is rude. And so I think it's really important to let people know how you can help them repeatedly. But it's so interesting to get people to do repeated posts. For instance, I mentioned, what you got Wednesday in my Facebook group. There's only one woman who has consistently posted every week over the years. Everyone else does it once and then go, see, it didn't work. So there's a lot of value in repetition, because only certain people, a handful of people, see our post at any given time, and then it's gone, right? So we have to do it repeatedly. And if we post repeatedly, we might have the same person see it more than once, maybe if we're lucky, but most of the time it's different people to see it every time. And I don't think people understand that. So in order for them to see it multiple times, we really have to post a lot. So that's, and it's a good thing, because they need to see it more than once. They need to see it a few times.
So if I can just add one more, if I can add one more thing, it's information overload. So somebody sees your social media content and they're like, ooh, what's that about? Then they go to Google and they look you up a little bit, and then they're following you, and then maybe they're getting on your email list to get to know you, and you're nurturing them. So sometimes you're just a step away from somebody reaching out, but you just have to keep on showing up in front of them.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the lurk factor. So what I mean by that is, I have people, there have been times, I got to be honest, when I have thought, okay, I'm going to stop doing this podcast in the Facebook group because people aren't watching and And as soon as I think that, then someone will say, oh, that episode last week was so helpful. Thank you so much. And I'm like, well, you weren't on live. How do you know that? They watch later, or they are there, but they're lurking. And there's lots of things I put out there that I think aren't landing, but the lurkers, the people who are kind of watching us periodically or off and on, do see it, do value it, and it does make a difference in terms of their perception. I've gotten clients who have said, I've stalked you on Facebook for a year, and I'd like to talk to you now. So there is value to being consistently present and showing up in life in general. So let's talk one other quick thing. Oh, it's already time. Just very quickly, speak to brand voice cohesiveness. So what does that mean in terms of, because the platforms are quite different. So for instance, on TikTok, I'm a bit edgier and a lot shorter, and a bit more kind of provocative, but I think it's in the same brand voice. But define what keeping your brand voice cohesive means across platforms.
Yeah, so one of the things that you can do in terms of keeping your brand voice cohesive, even though you might be showing up slightly different, it could be as small as your profile picture. is your profile picture the same as it is on LinkedIn versus Facebook, your Facebook page versus Instagram? Now, I like to play around with my profile picture. Maybe my profile picture is the exact same profile, but it's in black and white on LinkedIn. But yeah, you just want to make sure that that alone is cohesive. Your brand voice, it can still align, because when you're sharing your business, it is all aligned with your business goals and your whys as well, how you show up. So you're still sharing the same types of content, but you are just for the different types of platforms, you're just switching it up ever so slightly. So on Instagram, while I really enjoy LinkedIn, I love Instagram. Like, that's a close second. So on Instagram, you'll see that I have the same types of LinkedIn posts, but I have a little bit of fun where you'll see that I went running, or I'm hanging out with my family and I'm making some funny reels. But at the end of the day, a lot of my content talks about strategic digital marketing, and you'll see that across all of my platforms. And then a lot of people, what they do is they put so much attention to their social media marketing, and then they'll have a call to action to go to a landing page or go to the website. And then that's where sometimes what can happen is that we lose our target audience because it doesn't look the same, meaning that, are the colors similar? Are the pictures similar? Has your website been updated? So when somebody goes off of your social media to go and find out more about you, or to go to a landing page, you want to feel that they want to feel that they've exited this room, and that when they've gone to a new room, nothing much has changed. They're exactly where they need to be. So really quickly, like, the analogy that I really love to share is that when I hang out with my friends, we're a little bit loud, but I'm still Dee. And then when I go to my in-laws, I'm a lot more quieter, but I'm still Dee. It's just that everyone knows me as Dee, but everybody gets something different in each area that I visit.
Great analogy. I like that. So Dee, one last question before we talk about where people can find you. What is the advantage to working with a done for you service like yours? What are the advantages and disadvantages versus trying to do it on your own or doing your own social media?
Well, I'll start with a disadvantage, which I'll keep that one a little bit short. So with it, in terms of a disadvantage, I think a lot of business owners think that just because they don't know a lot about marketing, that when they're hands off, they're completely hands off. And then what happens is that because they didn't have a lot of input, or because the strategy wasn't spoken about, then what tends to happen is that the social media that is being written, it doesn't sound like the business, or there isn't like really great communication. So I want to say that if you are an entrepreneur and you decide to be hands off doesn't mean that you don't have a say. It just means that you get to stay in your zone of genius, so you don't lose that control. And you also want to make sure that there is accountability, that you're meeting with your team. We meet with our clients once per month, and then that way you want to make sure that everything is aligned. And then in terms of the advantages is that, wow, you can just stay in your zone of genius. One of my clients, she mentioned when she first started that she had an appointment with her chiropractor, then she went to the gym, and her notifications were going off. And then when she went to her Instagram account, when she went to her LinkedIn, then people were engaging. They were saying, yes, that's right. Oh my goodness, that was so funny. And she sat for a moment. She said, wow, I really like the way that this feels. And then another thing is that because we meet with our clients and we line everything up, well, for her, she has a practice, and she ended up like filling her practice, because one of her fears was that she didn't have time to do social media, nor was she an expert, but she wanted to fill her practice so that she can feel good about employing people at her practice. So within a few months, she was full. And that was a great thing that happened. And she just had to say, hey, what's going on? Or I'd like to touch base. And every single week we write content for our clients, and all they do is they review it, they make some minor edits, and then we send it off to be scheduled.
Awesome. That's awesome. So it saves some time and effort and having to learn all the ins and outs of the various different algorithms and challenges on each platform, because there's a lot.
Yes, there is.
And staying on top of that is a full-time job, which is why it's good to hire experts for that. So how do people get in touch with you, Dee?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Jeanette. The best way that you can get in touch with me is you can visit my website at deeboswell-buck.com. And I do have a free download. So if you go to my website at deeboswell-buck.com/10-essential-elements, there's a free download where you can get 10 essential elements for your social media strategy. And by all means, if you've seen this, I'd love to, I'll chat with you in the comments. You could find me on Facebook at Dee Boswell-buck, on LinkedIn at Dee Boswell-buck, and Instagram the same.
Awesome. And by the way, that is a very good tip right there on its own. Make it easy for people to find you, and name your pages something that people are looking for. So when I started my Facebook group, my company or my brand is Bodacity, which means bold and audacious. And so I named the Facebook group Bodacity's Action Heroes, because it was people who were taking action and being bold in the world as they built their business. Made perfect sense to me. No one was searching for Bodacity's Action Heroes. No one knew what that meant, and no one knew who it was for. So the growth was very slow. Changed the name to the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood. Now they know it's about business and the inner game of business for women. So name your stuff something that is easy to find and understand. Just don't make the same mistake I made. All right. Thank you so much for being here, Dee. And please do go get her 10 essential elements of your social media strategy. I posted it in the chat. We'll put it in the show notes on the show. And do connect with Dee if you'd like to talk about work that you might be thinking of delegating or offloading to a team or an agency. Do you also work, I'm assuming, with people in the US, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, there you go. And therefore, you guys in the US, you're probably going to get a great deal, because the exchange rate makes it much better to deal with Canadians. And we know your market. So by all means, please do check out Dee and what she has to offer and how she can help you take some of the headache off your plate, because I know many, many entrepreneurs simply get overwhelmed by social media and therefore don't do it, and then feel bad and shame and should all over themselves. So get help, get support, and get on it, because as much as we may or may not like it, it is a part of life, and it is a part of marketing and branding ourselves nowadays. So thanks for being here. Thanks for the tips to make it a little bit easier. Appreciate that. And have a bodacious week. Oh, and by the way, happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian friends today. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.